Hey boys and girls, this week's letter sound, our first letter sound of the week is the letter J. J. J, J, J. See the girl jumping rope? J, J, J. Let's take a listen to this week's story for the letter sound J.
J. Jump. When Jenny jumps her jump rope, it sounds like this. J, 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 J. When Jackson jumps his jump rope, it sounds like this. J, 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 J. The judges generally agree that Jenny jumps most rapidly. J, 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 J. When Jenny jumps, she jumps to this jingle. Jump, jump, jump so quick. Whenever I jump, I like to kick. J, 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 J. The judges generally agree that Jackson jumps most quietly. J, 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 J. When Jackson jumps, he jumps to this jingle. Jump, jump, nice and quiet. See what happens when you try it. J, 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 J. Jump rope, like Jenny. J, 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 J. Jump rope, like Jackson. J, 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 J.
Wonderful. So J is a consonant. We see that it's a black letter on the white background. There's no yellow or green, and there's no red. So J is a consonant. Let's take a look at the pronunciation guide.
J.
Notice her teeth.
J.
Teeth are together. Now look at her lips.
J.
Okay, now you try it. Teeth together, lips, and pay attention to your mouth. How does it feel? Maybe even close your eyes to focus in on that to block out distractions. Teeth together, J, J. Are your lips touching? J, J. They're not. It's your teeth, J, J. I feel it kind of in my chest, right? J, J. Where's my tongue? J, J. It's kind of just hanging out there, isn't it? So very different from from G. And those are the two that sometimes get confused. Okay? J and G sound very similar by letter name, but their sounds are very, very different. G, G is G. Tongue up, drop, G, G. And J, 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 J. Teeth together, lips open and round, J, J, J. Feels more in the chest. Okay? All right. J and G. Now, some of you might be thinking, but the letter G sometimes sounds like this. You are correct. Kindergarten, we focus on hard G, where it's going G, G, up high and dropping, G, G. And J has the J sound, okay? So if you're not sure when you're trying to spell a word, and if you can't recall what that word looks like, spelling it with a J or a G, I want you to choose J, because that's the sound that we're associating with this letter. J says J, G says G. Now, if you know that the word starts with the letter G and it's borrowing the J sound, then you go with what you know. But if you're not sure, you have no idea, you choose the letter J to spell that word, because that's what Mrs. Van Dyke would also want you to do too. Okay? Nice job, boys and girls. Let's check out this week's story. All right, so boys and girls, our first story when we are discovering cultures happens to be a story that it would be following the Mexican cultures. It's about a grandfather, abuelo, and he's teaching his grandson how to make a piñata and why that piñata is important to their culture, okay? So a piñata would be a tradition at birthday parties, at Christmas, and different celebrations, okay? So let's take a listen to our story for this week. It is called Pass It Down. I think that's a very nice title. What do you think about that title? When we're talking about traditions and cultures, pass it down. Remember when I held up my mug that has the shamrocks on it and I said, if I wanted to trace back my culture, I could take it all the way back to Ireland. Well, how do I know that? It's because the elders in my family passed down the storytelling, passed down the traditions, the cultures of how to make Irish soda bread, how to make a piñata, how to light the menorah, whatever it might be in your family and your neighbor's family. So let's take a listen to this. Your essential question is, what traditions does your family share? So what traditions does your family share? Think about that as you listen to this. You may not have a piñata tradition. That's okay. What tradition do you have that you share together that maybe is getting passed down from your grandparents to you? Here we go.
Essential question. What traditions does your family share? Pass It Down by Elizabeth Reed, illustrated by John Nez. This is David and his abuelo, his grandfather. Abuelo was born in Mexico. He loves to create things for his family. He makes piñatas.
Does your grandfather make anything for you? Or grandma has maybe taught you how to do something?
When Abuelo was young, his grandmother taught him how to make piñatas. Now, Abuelo will show other children how to make piñatas. David will help.
So Abuelo is going to teach David how to make the piñata. But who taught Abuelo how to make the piñata? Did you catch that? When Abuelo was young, his grandmother taught him how to make piñatas. So it was his grandmother, so it was David's great-grandmother passing it down.
A piñata is a party decoration and game. It is made out of paper and glue and filled with toys. Abuelo can make the piñata into any shape he wants. Today, he will make a donkey.
I have a question. Remember, we've talked about asking questions as you read. My question is, because I'm not too familiar with piñatas, but I do know that at Christmas time, the piñata that's often used, if you look at the picture, is the star piñata. So I wonder, my question is the donkey piñata oftentimes used at birthday parties and the star piñata, because it is connected to the holiday season of Christmas, is that why it's used at Christmas time? That would be my question that I would want to learn more about to better understand this culture and the tradition of using piñatas.
Piñatas are made with paper mache. That is old, reused paper soaked in glue. The paper mache is placed on balloons to dry. David helps by blowing up the balloons. Abuelo arranges the balloons in the shape of a donkey and tapes them in place. Next, Abuelo tears newspaper into strips. David dips the strips in glue. He places them over the legs of the donkey. David and Abuelo cover the rest of the body and the donkey's face.
Have any of you made a piñata before? Or have any of you made paper mache before? You might want to try making a piñata for your next birthday party.
When the glue dries, the shape is stiff. Abuelo cuts the piñata and David fills it with toys. Abuelo seals the opening to hold in the toys. Then it is time to decorate the piñata. Abuelo uses paint and strips of folded tissue paper. He uses many vibrant colors. David glues on the tissue paper while Abuelo adds a face to the donkey.
Again, the color. Beautiful colors.
Finally, it is time for a party. David's family hangs the piñata from a tree. Abuelo gets a stick. The children hit the piñata. The piñata cracks. It cracks again. The cracks get bigger and bigger.
So I have to pause here. Because when I was Valentina's teacher, who was Mateo's oldest sister, I had no idea. That was when I kind of first started doing holidays around the world, where I had Mateo's family um, really invested in wanting to do something magical for Valentina's class. And so I learned so much about piñatas. I learned so much about Las Posadas, which is Christmas celebration. And I learned that there was a song that goes with hitting the piñata. And it was Valentina who taught me that. You kids have amazing stories. You have so much beautiful things about you to teach me and to teach others that I really hope as we get more and more into this, especially the next 2 weeks, that you really feel comfortable sharing what you're learning about your classmates, but also sharing things about you that we can learn from you. And maybe, just maybe, we could get a special appearance from Valentina and she could sing to us the song that goes with the piñata. I bet Mateo knows it too. Didn't mean to put you on the spot, Mateo, but I had to share that because the story just reminded me of that wonderful year with Valentina in class. All right, let's continue.
At last, the piñata breaks. All of the toys fall out onto the ground. The children rush for the toys and put them in their pockets.
I bet you would all do the same too.
The children thank Abuelo for showing them how to make a piñata. When they get older, they can teach their children too. Piñatas are this family's tradition.
Isn't that wonderful? So the tradition gets passed on. This is not the first piñata ever made, and it will not be the last, but it's the first one that David ever made. And now he knows how to make this to pass it on to his children, his friends, other family members, to keep that tradition alive. So what tradition is extra special to you that you would love for your grandparent or your parent to teach you how to do? And maybe you could start doing it with them every single year. Maybe it's learning that special recipe. Maybe it's learning how to make the piñata. Maybe your family does that. So start thinking about that and be willing to share it if you're comfortable. Okay, we're going to switch over to our skills workbook to practice some handwriting. It's going to be on a third video because I only have 15 minutes per video. So you've got a third video today. All right, let's take a look. Get out your skills workbook, please, and join me back here.